Before I continue with this discussion on Surah Fatiha and its relevance to the rest of the Quran, I think it is important that we understand our connection to the Quran as individuals. For ultimately, this is a journey that we undertake, and we do so as those who are bound to the Quran, accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so on. We know what the Quran is. Tonight we will listen to the Quran in its essential purity, and that is the recitation that you will listen to for the 20 rak'ahs and for the remainder of the month of Ramadan. What is not the Quran is the following. A translation of the Quran is not the Quran. A tafsir is not the Quran. A lecture such as mine is certainly not the Quran. The Quran is a very specific document. It carries a specific message in a specific language. And along with that, there are specific rules and regulations vis-a-vis the Quran. I shared one with you the other night, which is that the Quran has to be recited in measured tones, quite unlike any other book on the face of this earth. If you have the time, you should go into what's that thing called, where you watch all of these little snippets, YouTube, and try and listen to someone trying to recite the Bible in Arabic, like Muslims recite the Quran. So they too understand the significant difference between a text that is recited in these measured tones in accordance with specific rules and regulations, and a text that is just read. You cannot touch the Quran if you are in a state of major impurity. That does not apply to the hadith. Certainly does not apply to tafsir. It does not apply to tarjama, translation. When you recite the Quran, there are certain etiquettes that you have to follow. When you recite the Quran in its original Arabic, then Allah gives you an X amount of rewards, which you have probably listened to previously. That doesn't apply to the translation that you're looking at as you go along. Now, certainly you have multiple needs that you want addressed, and one of them is to at least understand what the book is saying. So the recommended practice is that you try to finish one Quran every month in Arabic, in the form of a recitation, without looking at notes. And then you spend 1 year at least going through a translation. And you do so studiously with pen and paper in order to understand the generality of the meaning. But you do so passively, not actively. The difference between engaging the Quran passively and engaging the Quran actively is that when you engage it passively, you simply listen to what it's telling you. Whereas if you engage the Quran actively, then you are asking questions of it. And unless you are by the means to do so, I would strongly urge you not to look at the indices and, do random word searches and so on. It's a very complicated process. When the Quran speaks to you passively, it's a very easy process. There's a lot that you will miss. And for that we have scholarship. Scholars are trained to make certain that they go to the Quran and ask questions of it. How exactly do we distribute inheritance? How do we do that? If anyone has tried to wade into the text of the Quran trying to discover that, he's going to come out there more confused than anything else. The scholar has to do three things. He has to engage the text of the Quran. He has to cross-reference different verses of the Quran found in different places of the Quran. He has to look at that in light of the traditions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the ahadith, and his findings have to then be corroborated by the findings of other scholars. When that is said and done, he can then give you a ruling or give some kind of judgment. So it is a process that requires pre-existent knowledge. But for those who simply want to take from the Quran, like you and I would be scooping water out of a bucket, you just read and let it speak to you. As for tafasir, think of a tafsir as the effort on the part of the exegete, the mufassir, to take you through his understanding of the Quran. Every mufassir who writes a tafsir is asking you to give him your hand so he can take you down his path, not the Quran's path. It is how he understood it. So there was this great mufassir in Egypt, Sheikh Ali Jawhari, and he wrote a 23-volume work called Jawahir al-Quran. And he had a special love for science and natural philosophy and these things. So guess what his journey was all about? Finding scientific data and corroboration in the Quran. Now, how many of you would want to undertake that kind of a journey? Certainly it's enlightening, but that's not the Quran. That is Ali Jawhari's road into the Quran. Move over to Pakistan, we have a scholar there called Abul Ala Maududi. He had a different understanding of what Islam entails. It is iqamat ad-din, the establishment of religion at a political level. So his entire exegesis is an effort to underscore this particular element, that Islam is primarily a religion to establish itself over all other religions. If you like that kind of a journey, join him. But those are all tafasir. They're not the Quran. For the Quran, you have to go to the Arabic text, read it yourself, get a simple translation, spend a year going through that. And if you do this repeatedly, at some point you says, I'm tired of these translations, I want to get it in Arabic itself. Find yourself a teacher, and inshallah, you're not going to be learning the Arabic language to take you on a tour to the Middle East. It was simply going to take you on a tour of the Quran. Your vocabulary will be limited, and your understanding of the Arabic language will obviously be limited, but sufficient for you to understand what Allah